on this mission. And in screening, one of the first kids I met, and this is Sebastian. And as I picked him up and I held him, there was something familiar about him. He was the same weight, felt the same. You know, he had that same kind of girth. And he kind of clung to me the same way that my son did. And I looked at his birthday, and it was almost the same. And I met his parents, and they were not too, they were pretty similar to me and my wife. And that really struck me, the differences in these two boys. These two boys are colleagues. They're counterparts. These two boys, born almost at the same time, to parents who have the same hopes and dreams for their child. Born in two totally different countries, a world apart, planets apart. But this child, not only born in Liberia, but also with a facial deformity. And so the challenges that are facing him really struck me. And this is him afterwards. This is minutes afterwards. If we had the benefit of taking photos of him, say 6 weeks out, you would see a thing. This is a very nice repair. We were presented with many different challenges, and sometimes you see things that you haven't seen before, and this is a child with a deformity of his ear that we were able to make a very nice correction on. This is a woman named Mary. Mary is 55, and Mary is homeless by virtue of what you see here. This is a benign tumor of her parotid gland that we were able to resect. This is a young boy who's 6 years old. I apologize because the photographs coming up are rather graphic. This is Emmanuel. Emmanuel is 6 years old, but he's the weight of a 2-year-old. And he has kwashiorkor, malnutrition. We wondered what was underneath the wrap, and this is what it was. This is something called a noma. Have you guys heard of noma? N-O-M-A, noma. And what it is in malnourished children, a very simple infection of the skin rapidly becomes a necrotizing process. And what you see on the top, the kind of the whitish on the top, that's actually his skull. It went all the way down to his jawbone and onto his skull. So this boy was admitted to a Doctors Without Borders hospital for 3 months. A tube was placed in his nose, and he was given antibiotics and nutrition, and they saved his life. The next thing that needed to be done, though, was to cover this up, because you cannot walk around with your bone, your skull bone exposure. Just you can't survive that way. And so we were able to, in 9 hours of surgery, we were able to put grafts onto his jaw and onto the top of his skull. And I show this picture, and it's telling because after 2 p.m. at Peabody Hospital, they shut off the electricity. You see those headlamps on that we're wearing? In order to save on petrol and to save the generator from burning out, they shut down the electricity. And so we would use our headlamps in order to provide care and to operate and to perform the care that we need to do. The people at Peabody Hospital are doing amazing things. They're doing amazing things with very limited resources, and this is something they are doing every single day. We were there for 2 weeks. This is a picture of the nurse that you see here is Doris Onsura. Doris is a critical care nurse at Regent's Hospital. She actually just moved, I think, just recently to Washington, D.C. Doris fled very early in the conflict. Her father was a very important man in the government, and she tells a very harrowing story of how she and all of her younger sisters were forced to flee under the shelling of rebels onto a Nigerian gunboat. And on the ship, they were in passage to Nigeria, but because the seas were so rough, they were so sick, they begged to get off in Ghana. And that's where they landed, and by the grace of God, were able to come to Minnesota. Another one of our nurses was Patience Kanke, who was an NICU nurse at St. Paul Children's. And she tells also a very similar harrowing story, but different in that very near Peabody Hospital, she almost met her demise. And she was in a lineup and was next next to be executed because her nose was just a little too big. It just didn't look right. And because there was some type of a scuffle and attention was directed, she was able to escape just by the skin of, literally by the skin of her nose. And both of these nurses, you would be so proud to see your nurses there teaching their counterparts in the hospital. These women were drill sergeants. We pride ourselves in education, but these women were unbelievable. The expectations they had for their people. Teaching them long hours, day and into the night. And to me, it was very inspiring and something that I would hope to share with you, that no matter what skills or strengths that you have, there are gifts that you share and things that you can bring back. And maybe it's not something you can do tonight or tomorrow, but it's something that I know that each of you will do in the future. This is the most amazing medical picture I've ever seen or taken in my life. And I apologize, I know we're getting hors d'oeuvres. What is that? This is a 14-year-old boy. He was sawing a limb. You can see the shavings on his head. He was sawing firewood to collect for his household. And the limb was attached to the tree, and a friend was pulling down on the limb, giving it tension. And it snapped. And it snapped. And he walked in. He came in on his own 2 feet. You can see his eyes are open. He's gingerly holding the end of this. He's one lucky boy. He's one lucky boy. Now, the surgeon, we had one surgeon there and one anesthetist. We were only doing pre-screening. Our team hadn't even arrived yet. The surgeon on call for Peabody Hospital that day was a pediatrician, just like me. I had no surgical training. But this man, by virtue of the demands required of him, has learned how to do C-sections and appendectomies, and you name it, he can do it. Garfield Williams, an amazing man. This case presented to him. I'm sorry. Yes, yeah. So this case presented to him. They asked us if we'd be able to help, and our surgeon, fortunately, was. Let me show you a side view of this. This is very real. And again, the most amazing thing is his eyes are open. His eyes are open. And so our surgeon, we were able to anesthetize him. We were able to resect all the muscles and see that this stick had actually missed everything. It had missed his neck, it had missed his spine, it missed the airway, it missed all the major blood vessels. And so the next thing that we did was we called for a hacksaw for maintenance. And we sawed off the end of the darn thing and pulled it right out. Put some drains in there to let any infection drain out, washed it out, put him on antibiotics, and the kid went home in 4 days. That's really only by the grace of God. So I'm here to give thanks. And thanks to you, to the members of the Liberian community for your support, for the vision of this. And I want to, if I could ask Margaret to stand up, Margaret Tola Wallace. This trip was her vision and her passion, and she chased after us like a bulldog and would not let us say no. And she really made it happen, and put together a team of support members from your community who saw to the success of this mission. So I'm here to give thanks to Margaret. I'm here to give thanks to you, the Liberian community, for your support of this work and for helping us make connections. And also to inspire you with whatever talents, whatever gifts you have to do the same. Times are tough right now. I mean, how many people in this room are working 2 jobs? I am. I'm working 2 jobs. And it's hard making ends meet. And however hard it is today, it's harder there for them. You know that. So as you're going through your day, it's easy to get kind of complacent in America, and complacent in our lives and what we have and what we think we deserve. What we have coming to us from what we've lived through. And I would ask you to consider your family members and your countrymen back home. Again, maybe tonight is not the night for you to contribute, or not tomorrow, but that you will contribute in part with your talents, with your time, and with your finances to your homeland. Thank you for your time.
Dr. Peterson, we'd like to say thank you. Thanks a lot. Appreciate your work. Without wasting any further time, we'd like to call on the Vice President of the